All right. Welcome to another episode of 12 Gauge Investigates. My name is 12 Gauge. I will be your host today. I hope everybody's doing well. I went live this morning and I had a lot of things that I was discussing. Let me put my eyeballs on because I'm going to be doing some reading, so I need these things. Anyways, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you find something that allowed you to keep coming back. If you're a continuing subscriber to come joins me, thank you for continuing to show up and give me some props because it's not easy to do this, especially when we deal with certain things that aren't the most exciting to talk about. I'm going to talk about the court process today. I'm going to talk about the prosecution, and we're going to talk about certain things that lead us into that dynamic and help us understand the process a little more. So, the more that you get involved in court cases on the true crime arena, you'll be able to understand it a little bit more. So, let me go ahead and pull this up. Hope I didn't get copyrighted with that journey stuff at the very beginning. That was a cool song that was playing. I didn't want to really turn it off at the moment. Let me try to. Okay, this is the prosecution. And talk about the prosecution. Let me tell you what the prosecution is. If the prosecution or the prosecutor holds one of the most important attorney positions in the criminal justice system and is one of the most powerful courtroom actors. Prosecutors have a great deal of discretion that comes with a great deal of responsibility. They decide who will be charged, what the charges will ultimately be, who they are going to enter into plea bargain with, and what concessions will be made as part of the plea agreement. Because of this discretionary power, they are also held to a very high standard. As part of its model of rules of professional conduct, the American Bar Association has put forth the special responsibilities that a prosecutor has to be a part of their decision making practices in criminal cases. It's always awesome to know about the prosecution because, in many cases that we follow on this true crime channel, you deal with court cases that involve the prosecution. And if you don't have a clue what the prosecutor is supposed to be doing, how are you going to be following along and understanding the process? So, some of these decision making practices that they have, not filing a charge for which the prosecutor does not have probable cause, disclosing all evidence to the defense, the court, even that which may negate the guilt of the accused. So, even if they give the defense discovery that will negate the guilt of their client, they still got to give it, ensuring that the accused is aware of their right to counsel and affording them an opportunity to get counsel and abstaining from statements or comments to the public that might condemn the accused in the public eye. So, all these little preliminary hearings, all the motions to compel, all these things, the prosecution does not want to blurt out anything or have their opinions of the accused out there in the public eye because automatically it's going to make it look like they believe that they have one guy and one guy only. That's why, it's very interesting in one of the cases that we follow on this channel. One of the defense attorneys blatantly stated, "My client is innocent." I mean, she's not the prosecutor, so I guess she can do that, but it's very unlikely that many people will do that. We will talk about the defense attorney here in a second. Prosecutors have also been called the gatekeepers of the criminal justice system and make decisions that affect the lives of many persons, including those accused of crimes as well as the victims and the general public. In making a determination about whether or not to charge someone, prosecutors have to weigh in the evidence that they have in a case against the seriousness of the offense, as well as the likelihood of obtaining a conviction. In some cases, it may be easy to make a decision. In others, it might not be black and white. The prosecutors may decide not to pursue charges in a case where they have evidence that the accused has committed a crime, and likewise might pursue charges in a case where the evidence may not completely satisfy all the elements of the crime. So, did you hear that? They have the discretion that at any time they feel that the crime, the evidence that they have, does not completely satisfy all the elements of the crime, they can say, "Hey, we want to drop the charges." Prosecutors are often judged by their conviction rates and scrutinized by the public to maintain community safety and ensure that justice is done in cases where an arrest is made for a crime, especially for more serious offenses. Given the scrutiny and the pressure, how difficult or not would it be for you to follow some of the above mentioned ABA rules? Also, in thinking about using taxpayers' money wisely, could you pursue all cases where there has been an arrest? Most of the general public believe that those arrested should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. That is most general public's beliefs, regardless of what you want to believe. That's how many people do believe this, as far as the understanding of that those arrested should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. What would you do in cases where you believe someone has committed a crime, but there's little evidence, or vice versa, where you have some doubt that the person arrested was the one who committed the offense? What would you do? Many people want to let them go, but you just heard the role of the prosecutor. If you're not listening, I want you to rewind and go back and listen. It says trial proceedings in criminal courts in the United States are exclusively adversarial proceedings. Adversarial proceedings mean the opposing sides present evidence and arguments favoring their position. So it's like two people discussing a case. This is why I believe the client is guilty. This is why I believe the client is innocent. And you sit there and you talk about it. Inculpatory versus exculpatory evidence. So, inculpatory means that you have evidence that could prove that your client did it or their client did it. And exculpatory would be the total opposite. You have evidence to believe that the defense's client did not do it, either to a judge or to a jury, in order to convince them that a particular action should be taken. Depending upon the compelling arguments presented favoring these opposing positions, judges or juries are persuaded to find criminal defendants guilty or not guilty. Persons charged with one or more crimes, defendants are prosecuted by the government. The interests of defendants are represented by defense counsels whose job it is to convince the judges or jury that insufficient evidence exists to conclude that the defendants are guilty of committing a crime. Criminal proceedings against defendants may be conducted at local, state, or federal level, and in each case, one or more prosecutors represent the government's interest in pursuing prosecutions. So, as I've told you, the prosecutor's job is to present a case that shows that the defendant is guilty. At any time that they believe that there's not sufficient evidence to show that the defendant could not possibly be guilty, they have the authority to dismiss the case, to dismiss the charges against the individual. So, in one of these cases, it's yet to happen. So, that makes you wonder. If there is more than we know about. Who knows? This chapter begins with a description of the adversarial system of American courts, which is characterized by opposing sides in the search for the truth. In some respects, this adversarial system is like the athletic contest or sporting event, complete with rules of conduct and different strategies calculated to advantage one side or the other in winning the contest. The outcome of a criminal trial is far different from the outcome of an athletic event, however. One or more lives are at stake, and one's freedom within the community may be in jeopardy. Prosecutors present inculpatory evidence to judges and juries. So, really quickly, chat, those of you in chat, what does inculpatory mean again? Have y'all been listening? Type it in the chat if you've been listening what inculpatory evidence means. And then I'm going to ask you what exculpatory means. Without Googling it, I want to see if you guys have been paying attention. I'll wait a couple seconds to see if you guys are going to type it. Don't Google it. Go from memory. Inculpatory means what? And exculpatory means what? So there's two different meanings. See if you guys have been paying attention. Such evidence showed defendant's guilt. There's the answer. By contrast, defense counsels present exculpatory evidence that showed defendant's innocence. So there's that answer. So if you type that, give yourself a hand. Usually both sides have such evidence and present it to bolster their arguments or why judges or juries should decide in their favor. The conduct of any criminal case in court, as well as the introduction of both exculpatory and inculpatory evidence, is governed by the rules of criminal procedure and evidence. Both state and local court system has codified these procedures so that trials are uniformly conducted and everyone understands what is and what is not permitted. The next section describes the prosecutorial role. The roles of the prosecutors at all levels, local, state, or federal, are very similar. One consistent feature of all prosecutors is that they have many duties and responsibilities. Prosecutors must screen cases for prosecution and decide whether to bring criminal charges against particular suspects. As the chapter opening scenario suggests, prosecutors must prioritize the cases they prosecute, and many factors affect their decision making. Even financial and personal resources influence these decisions. So the prosecutor or the district attorney decides what cases should be tried and which ones should not. So if they go to the length of deciding this based on the probable cause, as you saw in the very beginning what it said, then they move it down the line. They get the judge to sign off on it. The judge signs off on the probable cause affidavit. There's a arrest warrant, and then probably many search warrants after that. And then the process goes usually to the preliminary hearing. Not everyone who deserves to be prosecuted can be prosecuted. This is especially the case in smaller jurisdictions and in times when resources are limited. Prosecutors therefore use their discretion to make decisions about which cases to prosecute. Because of this discretion to prosecute or dismiss a case, many have committed that the prosecutor is the most important gatekeeper into the criminal justice system. U.S. Attorney General and Supreme Court Justice Robert H. Jackson once stated that the prosecutor has more power over life, liberty, and reputation than any other person in America. I would agree. Beyond the power to screen cases for prosecution, prosecutors must devise effective strategies that they will believe will enable them to obtain convictions against criminal defendants. In many cases, the inculpatory evidence against many suspects is overwhelming, and the prosecutor's strategies are fairly simple and straightforward. Critics argue that because about 90% of cases are disposed of though some type of plea agreement, the system might be best categorized as negotiative rather than adversarial. So it says 90% of all cases are plead out. So that mostly says that if they're pled out, that means that they're trying to get the cases through the justice system to not cause a backlog in the judicial system. So if somebody doesn't plea out and say, you know what, I want to take this to court, well, that takes much more time to prepare for court. The prosecutor often drafts a plea agreement wherein a defendant enters a guilty plea to one or more criminal charges in exchange for some form of concession, such as the sentencing leniency. These plea deals are usually initiated by the prosecutor but must be approved by the judge. The types of plea bargains and plea bargaining process are discussed much greater in detail in Chapter 8. So let's say that you know that this individual is guilty, right? Because of the evidence against them. So the inculpatory evidence against the defendant state that more often than not, this individual had done the crime. The prosecutor has the opportunity to write up a plea bargain and then present it to the defendant. If the defendant goes with it, meaning lesser charge, lesser time, and they agree to it, they sign it, the judge signs it. Okay, we don't have to go to court. We don't have to go to trial. They pled out. So usually in murder cases, they don't plea out. Usually they don't. Usually they go all the way through because nobody wants to go and take a lesser sentence, especially if they're not guilty. Although fewer than 10% of all criminal cases proceed to trial, this does not mean that there are few criminal trials. There are many thousands of criminal trials annually. In fact, the incidence of criminal trials is such that there are serious case backlogs in more than a few jurisdictions. Imagine the backlog, however, if everyone prosecuted exercised the right to have their day in court. Interestingly, because there are so many criminal trials to conduct in a limited time period within which to conduct them, this is a major reason why prosecutors must screen their cases and prioritize them for prosecution. It is simply not possible to prosecute everyone who deserves to be prosecuted for a crime. The screening process used by prosecutors to prioritize the cases would be examined and explained. So, if you're screening cases to prosecute, you're going to probably say, okay, this stack over here, let's see if we can get some pleas on these because even though there is strong evidence, there's still this person's a first time offender. You know, they don't have a long, substantial history. You know, they have family, they have support, they have these things to come back to. Let's utilize that as getting them to plea out so that we can get them down the road. And then these, we're going to probably have to go to court on because they're not going to plea. In larger cities, there's a much larger volume of criminal cases that is generated. Government prosecutors, sometimes known as state attorneys, district attorneys, or U.S. attorneys, will have several assistant prosecutors to handle larger caseloads. Thus, the head prosecutor has the responsibility of assigning cases to various assistant state attorneys or district attorneys or assistant U.S. attorneys, and these persons become responsible for prosecuting the cases they're assigned. Among the different responsibilities of prosecutors is interviewing witnesses and conducting disposition that will enable them to build compelling cases against criminal defendants. So, if the attorney is interviewing witnesses, so you've had the police interview the witness, you've had investigators interview the witness. Now you're having the prosecutor interview the witness. So, if at any time you have not told the truth, I'm sure they're not going to take your statement as logic or as deemable against a defendant, wouldn't you say? Like if you lied to the investigator and then the the prosecutor is interviewing you and you tell them a totally different story. I mean, it's going to kind of say, okay, well, why did you tell them this other story and you're telling me this story? Okay, so it says prosecutors also work closely with law enforcement officers who have made arrests and are collected important incriminating evidence. These persons will eventually testify in court or provide information about a defendant's guilt. These interactions between witnesses, law enforcement officers, and prosecutors will be described and explained. All attorneys, regardless of whether they are prosecutors or defense counsels, are expected to abide by a code of ethics that prescribe the particular conduct that places these persons above reproach. However, more than a few attorneys have violated one or more of these ethical codes by engaging in prosecutorial misconduct. Like any type of misconduct in any profession, these are degrees of misconduct that may occur, like misdemeanors and felonies. There are less serious and more serious forms of misconduct. Several types of prosecutorial misconduct are examined. Okay, so let's talk about the misconduct. Because as many people in the true crime community want to believe, there are a lot of individuals that don't do their job correctly. And you know what? Sometimes you're right on that. But that doesn't mean everybody doesn't do their job or everybody's dirty or everybody's crooked. Those definitive words just put all people in one box, and you don't have the ability to say that there are other people that actually could do their job correctly. One type of misconduct is encouraging deceit from witnesses who testify against criminal defendants. So that's easy to decipher. Let me break it down for you if you don't understand that. It says basically you're allowing the witness to testify against this criminal defendant and lie. Most prosecutors do not ask witnesses to lie under oath or commit perjury, but many prosecutors may encourage witnesses to slant their testimony in ways that help make the criminal defendants look guilty. In many jurisdictions, prosecutors rehearse their witnesses prior to trial, reviewing the types of questions the prosecutors will ask as well as the kinds of questions that defense attorneys might ask. Suggestions are given by prosecutors as to what witnesses might say or how they might respond. While rehearsing witnesses before trial is not unethical and may raise questions about how such testimony might be interpreted by the jurors. Some witnesses may exaggerate the significance of their testimony, and prosecutors may allow juries to draw their own conclusions about these exaggerated remarks. Of course, it is expected that good defense attorneys will clarify the jurors as to what certain witnesses say and how such information should be interpreted. One thing that you need to understand, and I see this a lot in the true crime community, they put so much emphasis on the prosecutor or the defense attorney. So much emphasis. These individuals are just presenting the case. That's it. They're not the ones that are going to put judgment on the defendant. The jury is. Or if they take it to a trial by judge, the judge is going to deem the punishment and guilt or innocence. So to put so much emphasis on the prosecutor or the defense attorney, it's like saying they have more power than they really do. I just told you the prosecutor, the only real power they have is to screen the cases, ask for a plea bargain. If the case isn't viable for a conviction, they have the opportunity to say at any time, hey, we don't have enough evidence, we're going to dismiss the case. But other than, there's many people in this true crime community, they act like the prosecutors is the judge, jury, and executioner. The prosecutor does have a lot of power, but they ultimately do not make the decision of whether the person is guilty or innocent. Neither does the defense attorney. That's up to the jury. So, when you hear people talking this way, you might ask yourself, okay, why are they giving these people so much power? All they're trying to do is bring the information to the forefront to eventually get to the trial. If the person's not going to plea bargain, then they're going to get to the trial and we're actually going to hear them give the evidence, and then one side's going to try to defend their client against the evidence that's been given. That's it. And the jury's going to have the ultimate power to decide guilt or innocence. To get all worked up at this point in a lot of these cases, it's premature. It's premature because you don't have the power to change any of it just because you get worked up. Even if you had inculpatory evidence that you claim you have, why would you be presenting it here on YouTube instead of sending it to the defense? Or if it's exculpatory, or I'm sorry, you would be sending it to the prosecutor, and it's exculpatory, you would be sending it to the defense. Why would you be presenting it on here as if presenting it on YouTube is somehow going to get the defense attorney to say, oh my God, I was watching this YouTuber and they were presenting some evidence that I never thought about, and therefore I need to go look at that. Do you honestly think it works like that? Do you honestly think that the prosecution or the defense attorney actually have that much time to look at YouTube videos and to decipher where they went wrong in their evaluation of evidence? If you think that, ask yourself, what logic does that make? What logic does that really make? So whenever individuals are saying, I have evidence that could prove this person is innocent, ask them, what kind of evidence? Is it inculpatory or is it exculpatory? That's not being a smartass. That's just basically asking them if they know the difference in the evidence that they have. Because just having evidence does not necessarily mean that you have the right kind of evidence. Do you get what I'm saying? So another type of prosecutorial misconduct occurs behind closed doors in confidential grand jury proceedings. About half of all states use grand juries to determine whether sufficient evidence exists against particular defendants in order for the case to proceed to trial. Grand jury proceedings are one-sided affairs where prosecutors present only evidence that they want grand jurors to see. So, in one of the cases we have been following, they took it to a grand jury. They skipped a preliminary hearing and took it to a grand jury. So, what this is saying, if the prosecutor only presented the evidence that they wanted the grand jury to see, they didn't show them everything. They just wanted to show them what was needed as inculpatory to get an indictment. That's it. So when people say the prosecution playing dirty, the defense is playing dirty, bro, think about this as a job, okay? Not as a personalized attack. You're giving these individuals so much credit for them to want to look at this as an emotional attachment to this individual, and it's not. They gave the evidence that they wanted the grand jury to see. Thus, prosecutors are in absolute control concerning particular evidence a grand jury will see against the criminal suspect. If the prosecutor knows of any exculpatory evidence that favors the defendant, he or she may withhold such evidence from the grand jury. Did you hear that? So all these individuals that have been saying in this one case, well, they didn't show them everything. They withheld evidence that could have freed this person. If the prosecutor knows of any exculpatory evidence that favors the defendant, he or she may withhold such evidence from the grand jury. So if there was grand jury exculpatory evidence, they were able to withhold it. Does that mean they were being devious? No. You only want to show the grand jury what you want them to see. So if you have something that could exonerate this client, you're not going to show it to the grand jury. That's not how the law works. This is the prosecutor's decision. If the prosecutor has strong feelings about the case and wants the grand jury to indict the defendant, Excluding exculpatory evidence from the grand jury will improve the prosecutor's chances of securing an indictment. Ultimately, the exculpatory evidence will come to light in court, right here. Ultimately, the exculpatory evidence will come to light in court when the trial is conducted. In the meantime, however, the defendant, who may be innocent, remains charged with a crime through the indictment. So, in no time are they going to be freed. Because once you've been indicted, you have to wait till the trial to show your innocence. So, all this other stuff that people have been pushing, it's just drama. It's just drama. Drawing a witch hunt. It's a mob just set up to destroy this individual. And I'm talking about many cases because they were doing it in the Richard Allen case too. So that's part of the deal of all this is set up so people don't break the law. I hope you get that. Because it's harder to get out if you're innocent than it is to get in if you're guilty, if that makes any sense. So ultimately, exculpatory evidence will come to light in court when the trial is conducted. In the meantime, however, the defendant, who may be innocent, remain charged with the crime through the indictment. Although indictment do not mean that the indicted defendants are guilty of anything, many citizens interpret being indicted as tantamount to guilt anyways. So, just because the person has been indicted does not mean that they're guilty. But they still got to wait till trial. The process of prosecutorial bluffing will be described. Prosecutors may attempt to bluff their way through a case prior to trial, leading some defendants to believe that they may have inculpatory evidence against them when they have no such evidence. Many guilty pleas have been entered by innocent defendants because of prosecutorial bluffing. If defendants believe that the jury will likely convict them of a crime and their sentence will be severe, these defendants may be deciding to accept a plea agreement offered by the prosecutor, which usually involves considerable leniency in punishment compared with what a judge may have imposed through a jury verdict of guilt. Several types of prosecutorial bluffing may be described, and the implications of prosecutorial bluffing for defendants will be indicated. So, are you understanding the process up to this point? There's a question here. Can you say inculpatory again? You're going super fast. Inculpatory evidence is the evidence that the prosecution has to show potential defendant's guilt. Exculpatory is evidence that could be used to show that the defendant was innocent or to dismiss their charges. So, those of you that are angered by the process that are going on in many of these trials, I would suggest that you educate yourself on criminal procedure, because if you don't know what your rights are based on what you hear other people say or their interpretation of the law, you could be sitting in jail being indicted and you could be innocent, but you still got to wait to go to trial to be proven innocent. And that could be a long time. So, or they're going to potentially give you a plea bargain and you're going to sign off on it because you want out of jail. I hope this is making sense, guys. More serious forms of prosecutorial misconduct include deliberately withholding exculpatory evidence from defense counsels prior to trial. So, if that is found out, there is Sanctions for this. This is a prosecutorial misconduct, and it can result in a mistrial. Another form of misconduct is pursuing a case against the criminal defendant where no basis exists for the criminal charges that have been filed. Sometimes prosecutors may file frivolous charges against defendants where such charges have little or no bias in the truth. These malicious prosecutions against innocent defendants are clearly inexcusable, although providing malicious intent on the part of the prosecutor is often difficult. So it's hard to prove malicious intent on the part of the prosecutor. All this is set up so you don't break the law. You say, well, the justice system broken. They're just trying to get you to lose your freedom. All this other stuff that we hear all the time. I don't know what to tell you because I'm not you. But you should have an understanding that it is so easy to lose your freedom that it should make you a lot more vigilant to not put yourself in high risk situations. Yeah, they do run with it because they don't understand it sometimes. Here we go. Although it is not technically a form of misconduct, prosecutors almost always attempt to select jurors who are most likely to convict the defendant. So to think that in Ada County or wherever Richard Allen is or wherever the Gilgo Beach guy is or Karen Reed, that they have jurors that want to see the defendant innocent, that is a misconception. Most of the jurors are picked to attempt to select the right one to most likely convict the defendant. Some prosecutors hire professional jury consultants to assist them in making such juror selections. Both prosecutors and defense counsels have several peremptory challenges and an unlimited number of challenges for cause whereby they can strike any particular prospective juror from sitting on the jury. So that is true. You don't have to pick all of them. Defense counsels also attempt to select jurors who will react favorably toward their client. So the defense is usually wanting somebody who's going to kind of sympathize with their client. Sometimes they hire a jury consultant to assist them in juror selection. Since the jury selection process is not an exact science, it is questionable whether accurate forecasts can ever be made about how particular jurors will vote once the evidence from both sides has been presented. Another form of prosecutorial misconduct involves backdooring hearsay evidence. Prosecutors and defense counsel are both barred from making certain kinds of statements in front of the juror. So you can't just blurt out certain things that you want to kind of throw jabs at the other side, like they're not playing fair. Or that you are putting stuff out there like one of the biggest hearsay would be, let me see, in a trial would be um, in the Delphi, let's say, well, the defendant was seen on the bridge, but therefore, after the photo was taken, there was no other mention of the defendant, and he doesn't even really own that big of a coat. That would be hearsay because it hasn't been, nobody has looked into any of that you just said. But both sides may make occasional improper utterness or statements anyway, only to have the judge instruct the jury to disregard these statements. But once the juries have heard the statement they shouldn't hear, it is difficult, if not impossible, for them to forget that they heard these statements. It is impossible to determine how much these improper statements influence jury opinions and voting during juror deliberation. Different types of backdooring hearsay will be described. The chapter concludes with an examination of the ethical norms and the guidelines presently in place to regulate prosecutors and their conduct. Only during the last few decades have prosecutors been more carefully scrutinized by the legal profession and others than prosecutors have even had charges filed against them for misconduct. Prosecutorial codes of conduct and ethics will also be described. So, Is there anyone in chat? I haven't even been looking. Are you guys learning anything right now? Am I boring you with the reading? It's pretty interesting to me. I mean, I've already went through this course, so I understand it pretty much. If not perfect, I understand it, what I'm reading. And the only reason that I wanted to present this tonight is because I've tried so many other times to get people to understand this, but still you hear so much stuff in these panels that's incorrect. They may use the word, but they don't use it in the proper way that describes exactly what it is. They use it in a way that describes how they want it presented to kind of sway their bias to the chat. It's almost like if you use a word incorrectly and you're somehow silver tongued, as they say, you can convince somebody to understand something that may not be true. And they're going to run with it in another chat and say, well, this is what I heard. This is what this means. No, that's not what that means. So let's talk about the adversary system. When a crime is committed, law enforcement officers frequently arrest a suspect who is believed to have committed the crime. Criminal suspects become defendants charged with one or more crimes. While all criminal defendants of the U.S. are entitled to the presumption of innocence before their guilt is established in court beyond a reasonable doubt. And we all know this. Everybody's presumed innocent, but that does not mean that they're not innocent. You know what I mean? This is just in the criminal court. Public scrutiny, especially on YouTube and in these streets, does not apply to that. So when people get upset and say, well, he is innocent, according to the court of law, not to the court of public opinion, you know? And many people take it too far, they just take it too far. They're also entitled to counter the charges against them. That's true. Therefore, defendants are represented by defense counsels whose job is to defend their client against these criminal charges. Presumably, the defense counsels who represent clients in court are more or less effective according to their training, expertise, and practical trial experience. The system of alleging criminal charges against defendants and defending them against such charges is known as the adversary system. The adversarial system is not exclusively a U.S. creation. It is found and used frequently in other countries such as Canada, England, Italy, and Australia. So, once again, the adversary system is a legal system involving a contest between two opposing parties under a judge who is an impartial arbitrator. The adversarial nature of criminal court is evident by paying attention to the different roles of the prosecutor and the defense attorney. The prosecution's aim is to prove that the defendant committed a crime, and the level of such proof should rise to beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense attorney contests any criminal allegations made against his or her client and seeks to dissuade the court or a jury from thinking that the defendant is guilty of a criminal offense. So think about that a little bit. When people are up in their feelings and they get mad about one side talking about the other side or the other side talking about the other side, and they call them names and all this other stuff. So the defense's job is to present a view that their client is innocent. So if that's what you believe, you're going to go and ride with the defense. Okay? But then if the prosecution is showing that the client could potentially be guilty, you're going to ride with the prosecution. Doesn't make you right or wrong, it just makes you picking a side. And everybody has their own reason to pick this side. As we've said, the prosecutor is a court official who commences civil and criminal proceedings against defendants that represent state or government interests, prosecuting defendants on behalf of the state or government. A defense attorney counsel is a lawyer who represents a client accused of a crime. That's it. Quit making these defense attorneys like superheroes. That's their job. Their job is not to fight the prosecution. It is never personal. It is never like, okay, this defense attorney hates the prosecution. This defense attorney is against the prosecution. Because generally in the court process, the defense attorney is viewed as a piece of trash. And I'm not saying in any of the cases that we cover on here that that is true. But generally, people do not like the defense attorney because they're defending a potentially guilty person. So many times, the defense attorney is not a very popular person. Recent high profile white collar prosecutions, for instance, have seen defense attorneys submitting testimony and evidence to the jury about the client's lack of knowledge of accounting practices and other financial information. Prosecutors, on the other hand, usually provide memos or emails or evidence that the employee of the corporation did have knowledge of the fraud and other criminal or regulatory violations. So let me talk to you a little bit about these cases that we cover on this channel. So the prosecution is going to have the evidence, right? The defense is going to have that evidence in the discovery so they can present a counter argument. That's it. If they're gonna, if the prosecution gonna put an expert up there, the defense is gonna cross-examine this expert to try to discredit their expertise so that their client looks better in that light. If the defense puts an expert up there, guess who's gonna try to discredit that expert? The prosecution. To say that they don't know what they're talking about, or to say that they're not that good at their job, or anything such as that. And on and on and on. You've seen it in other trials. So that is, it's like a chess match. But ultimately, the jury has the last say in the matter. So it says prosecutors, on the other hand, usually provide, and I talked about that already, evidence is presented to both sides in these adversarial proceedings to provide compelling arguments for and against guilt. Depending on the jury's interpretation of this evidence and their opinion about whether the defendant was aware of the criminal action, corporate malfeasance, for instance, persons are either found guilty or acquitted. Comparing the criminal court to a game being played out from the beginning to the end is not new. The game-like nature of the courtroom is reinforced by using court-relevant terminology such as sides and prosecutorial or defense strategy. Prosecutors are on one side and use a particular strategy that they believe will enable them to win the game. For prosecutors, a win is a conviction against the accused. For the defense side, a win is the defendant's acquittal. Prosecutors and defense counsels are often labeled as players by different writers who seek to categorize courtroom procedures in certain ways. The law may not always be seen as a normative system where the most moral person wins, but rather where the more skillful player using the better strategy will win the game by defeating the other player. And that's all this is, folks. To give it more credence than what is needed, to interject your emotions and energy and anger and frustration and belief systems, there's nothing wrong with that because I'm not the moral compass of YouTube, as I've told you many times. But when it's all said and done, they have everything they need. It's already moved past all these stages that I've read about in many of these cases. They're suiting up and ready for the debate to suppress evidence based on how they got the evidence. Was it legal? Was it not legal? Is it going to be able to be used in the court of law? Was it obtained with a search warrant? Was it not obtained with a search warrant? Was it obtained by, breaking the client's rights. All these things are going to be taken into account. And as I've talked about in the past, toward the end of the trial, that's where the Brady Giglio kicks in. That's where all that other stuff kicks in, where you're able to say, well, this person should have never testified because of this or that. And let's continue going. I'm not ignoring the chat. I just have so much that I want to put out there that I'll get to you guys here in a second. The adversarial system of justice in the U.S. is rooted in the tradition of English jurisprudence dating back several centuries. In U.S. court, the key players, the prosecutors, defense attorneys, and judges, are the courtroom work group. They are bound to observe standardized rules of criminal procedure as well as well defined ethical codes. Thus, there are specific rules governing the order in which a case is presented against the defendant and the response from the defense counsel. Besides following a predetermined pattern or protocol for presenting a case against and for a defendant, other rules exist that govern the nature and types of evidence and witnesses who may be called for either side. Each side attempts to manipulate the evidence presented in ways that enhance their respective arguments. Did you see this right here? So I'm giving you a nugget right now. So if you want to sound educated to a prosecutorial process later on, you can always type. Each side tries to manipulate the evidence presented in a way to enhance their respective arguments. And the chat's going to look at you as a genius, like you know what you're talking about. So go ahead and borrow it. It's cool. I want to see if anybody uses it from here on out. That'll make you look brilliant. Witnesses are examined and cross-examined by the different sides in an effort to bolster their arguments. Ideally, the side with the most persuasive and compelling argument, either against or for the accused, wins. And this is what I've told people time and time again, and they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. Maybe because it's coming from me. Maybe if another person said it, that would open their ears because, they like that person. They might not like me. Who knows? But it says, ideally, the side with the most persuasive and compelling argument, either against or for the accused, wins. So just like in the Casey Anthony case, I could have swore that she was going to be found guilty. There was tons of evidence. There was photos. There was videos. There was, you know, forensic evidence. There was all this stuff. But Jose Bias, or whatever his name was, gave such a compelling argument about her not being able to do this, the jury voted her not guilty. I don't know how you feel about that case, but I've always felt she was guilty. It's a jury decide the facts in a case before them, and their deliberations most often favor either guilt or acquittal. On rare occasions, juries may not be able to reach an argument or agreement as to which side the prosecution or defense had the more persuasive argument. In these instances, juries are deadlocked or hung, and mistrials are declared. Subsequently, the adversarial process begins anew with another trial. Happened in the Karen Reed case. In each trial proceeding, it is expected that both sides would adhere to an accepted ethical code and conduct themselves accordingly. The rules of criminal procedure. These are rules legislatively established by which a criminal case is conducted. Law enforcement officers, prosecutors, and judges use rules of criminal procedure and discretionary actions against suspects and defendants. The ethical code is canons of professional responsibility articulated by professional associations such as the American Bar Association. Witnesses are persons who have relevant information about the commission of a crime that may incriminate or exonerate a defendant. So, let me read this last portion, then I'm going to get to the chat. It said, throughout the criminal trial, evidence is presented by both sides for its persuasive effect. Prosecutors usually present Inculpatory evidence. Let me see if y'all been listening. Those of you in chat, what does inculpatory mean again? And what is exculpatory? Have y'all been listening? What is inculpatory and what's exculpatory? Prosecutors usually present inculpatory evidence or testimony, other forms of evidence that tend to show the guilt of the defendant. For instance, the defendant's fingerprints might have been found on the murder weapon, or eyewitnesses may have seen the defendant pull the trigger of a gun that killed the defendant. This evidence would be considered inculpatory because it showed the guilt of the accused. By contrast, defense counsel introduces exculpatory evidence or testimony by other forms of evidence to show the innocence of the defendant. For example, one or more persons may testify that the defendant was with them at the time of the murder was committed. Credit card receipts or video surveillance from restaurants or shopping malls may indicate the defendant was somewhere else when the crime occurred. Thus, alibis and other relevant information may show that the defendant couldn't have been the one who committed the crime when it occurred. So there it is, one more time. Inculpatory evidence is any information that places the defendant in an unfavorable light and increases the likelihood of their guilt. Exculpatory is any information that reflects favorably upon the accused and shows that they are innocent of the crimes with they are charged. And I'm going to stop there for tonight, and we're going to start back up on the prosecution next time. So, what do y'all think? What do y'all think of what I just read, what I just presented? Do y'all think did it clear up some myth about prosecutor, defense, inculpatory, exculpatory, any of that? Are you more knowledgeable on certain things than you were before? Um, what do y'all think? Talk to me. Really interesting, and yet it helped. Yes. Cash, welcome. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing all right. Let me scroll up and see what you guys were talking about. Ronnie says, I like it. I think it's interesting. And if you question, they get mad. We can create an argument for anything. That's true. But defense is human right and correctly so. Agree, people get at defense lawyers a lot more. Yeah, they do. But seeing with live trials and chat depend on the case these days. It was entertainment, now it's money, so justice at forefront, really, I hope so, but it's eroding. Live trials were exciting. Now just I do not know, a lot of coverage for the wrong reasons. Jury pool's harmed, let alone the entire case. Sorry, rant over. Oh, but they are so frustrating. These are lies. Okay, y'all are having an interesting conversation. Inculpatory means evidence that would show the defendant innocent. Very good, Jeff. Very good. Dang, I didn't get a notice. You know, if you really got anything out of this, I hope the inculpatory and the exculpatory makes a lot more sense to you. And like it was describing in the textbook, it was describing that this The jury hold the cards. The prosecutor has the ability to, at any time, even after you've heard the whole thing, the prosecutor has that opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to drop the charges. I'm going to drop the charges. Well, it's not over by no means. I'm still talking, so we're still good. Hi, Chickbait. Hi, Jeff. Hi, PKC. This is like an old car. It takes a little while, usually an hour, for the car to start idling right, the car to start going at a reasonable, you know, where it's not about to conk out, you know. I hope that you did enjoy that because, many times when we're talking about these trials, many times they're using words that many people do not understand. And they go to Google or they go to a source to look them up, and it's still written in a way that's not everyday lingo. So it's difficult to understand it. So therefore, you try to understand it the best way you know how. And a lot of times, it's based on your on your bias about the case. So if you're one side or the other, it's kind of like if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan and some of you are, I don't know, Cleveland Brown fans, and you are playing this Sunday, are you automatically going to be a Dallas Cowboy fan because the Browns have lost every game this season? No. You're going to stay true to your side. And there's been fights over sporting events. I mean, but I don't understand why it has to be that way when we don't hold a card in the fight. You know what I mean? When we when we don't have a horse in the race, so to speak. Not really. I don't get frustrated until people come at me like I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? Like they're going to show me something that they heard from somebody else on a panel, and they're trying to show me and shove this in my face like, "Well, see, this is evidence. This is what it means. You're wrong." And it doesn't it doesn't aggravate me because people are going to view their opinions and the information the way they understand it. It's not my job to change them. You can't change a person's opinion of what they see and what they hear. You can't. So you got to go with the good and you got to go with the bad, whatever it is. People are people. Chickbait said, I'm originally from Cleveland, and this time of year, things get rather depressing. I don't get involved with the NFL regularly. Cash says, go 49ers and Giants. See, so if I was against those teams, or let's say that my team was playing those teams tomorrow, I would have all this trash that I would be talking. I'd be saying, well, you know what? The 49ers don't have as much people. They're trash and this and that. And then somebody would come back, well, my team isn't worth the crap. They got the first round draft pick. He's a bust, all this and that. It goes back and forth. Well, the criminal case is just like that. You have these two individuals that do not have emotional attachment to these defendants. Yeah, the Bills are 2-0. They're playing pretty good. Did you hear what I just said? When it's all said and done, they're getting paid to prosecute these people and they're getting paid to defend them. They don't have the emotional attachment that some individuals on YouTube have. There's some people that have commented on on my live that say, there's nobody going to tell me any different. I believe this person's innocent, blah, blah, blah. Why would I argue that? That's your belief. Now, if you're wanting an argument, I mean, you wouldn't have said there's nobody going to change my mind, because a lot of people are going to take that as a challenge. I meet people where they're at. And in therapy, if you've ever been in therapy or you're a therapist or whatever watching this, motivational interviewing means that you meet the person where they're at rather than where you want them to be. And a lot of times that's why I don't argue with people. Because if you meet somebody that's trying to convince you of their beliefs, well, there's nothing you say at that point that's going to change their mind. We have emotional attachment to this case. They have emotional attachment to their financial attachment. Well, I don't know what you mean by that. Who are they? Was how your mind switches from one opening state to it's an argument in a court. Yeah. And they're doing a job at when it's all said and done, they're doing their job. Bill Thompson, as people have researched, has been most of his cases have pled out. So if most of his cases have pled out, he already has a strategy. Ann Taylor, whatever her case history has been, that's going to be her strategy. And I think somebody had stated that her case history had been destroying the integrity of the investigation. So if that's what it is, then she's gone exactly what she knows. So if that's these two's MOs, then that's how they're going to present this case. They're going to present it in the way that they're used to presenting all their cases. So you're not going to see anything different. So the fact that the prosecution has yet to turn over discovery, and that's been this individual's MO for all his cases, if I don't hand over what I got, and you believe that I have more than you think I do, and I present you a plea agreement, then you're more than likely going to sign it if your attorney is not against it. Now, on the other side, if I counteract and try to tear down the integrity of the police, the prosecutor, the people involved, then that's going to put people in the favor of my defendant. It's not that hard to understand. So, for those of you that really are emotionally involved in this, it's not that hard to understand what they're doing. They, as in the prosecution, defense, getting paid to do a job. Yes, exactly. I used to like watching cases randomly and knew nothing about, just live trial. Now hard to find a trial I have no knowledge of. Well, I'm doing one about a TikTok murderer that I don't know if you've been following, but that's an interesting trial to me. I did a live this morning about it, so you might go check that out, Cash, if you haven't. There's probably about 3 episodes that I've done on that trial to catch you up if you want to check that out. So, like I said, I'm not one way or the other on anything that I present. Defense most recent death penalty case resulted in a plea. Yeah. I mean, if that is the freaking MO of the prosecutor. I don't know if there's an update. Are we watching it tonight? Thank you, Baywatcher. Do I have it scheduled for tonight? Let me go look. If I do, I need to change it because I'm just doing this one. I threw this one out of the blue. See, I even confuse myself sometimes. Where is it? Hmm. I don't see it on my page. Oh, there it is. Scheduled for 8:21 at 12 p.m. Oh, wow. I have that scheduled for midnight, bro. I need to change that. No, we're not watching that tonight. Not watching, or we're not doing that tonight at midnight. I'm sorry. Not at all. Not at all. So, that was a different prosecutor reason for state taking the plea is money. Well, as we learned, the longer that these trials take, the more taxpayer money that is spent on both sides, more manpower hours, more investment in trying to get witnesses and all this other stuff. I mean, it just overwhelming. It's overwhelming sometimes. I hope you guys did something fun today. Hope y'all had an awesome, excuse me, an awesome Saturday. Mine was pretty good. I really didn't do a lot. Just went grocery shopping and things like that. No, 12 gauge is not. 12 gauge is going to be snoozing at midnight, I think. That sounds delicious. I had a friend of mine that was going to be making hamburger helper, That was in your county, Paula. That's cool. So, I want you to understand, that's my intent in presenting anything that I do on the channel. It's for people to understand the process. That way you don't have to get in an argument. That way you don't have to fight your belief system. Awesome, Jeff. Awesome. They usually fly over Florida sometimes. Hey, Jeff, I want to pull you up here for a second. Or maybe if you could explain your video, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. Jeff posted a video yesterday and it was called, I don't want to butcher it, so let me go find it. It was a weird one. I didn't understand it. It was called Quest for Food 2023. So if you haven't watched it, you might go to Jeff's page and watch this. I have no clue what it's about. They have another DP case in my county, jury trial February 2025 so far. What may end up on the jury duty? I get lucky as far as jury duty is concerned a lot of times because I always tell them I want both sides of the scenario. Um, Otherwise, I can't make a definitive decision. And, if they want you for the prosecution, you're only going to hear one side. They want you for the defense, you're only going to hear one side. So, a lot of times when they find out what I do for a living, that's uh, that's what happens. Hey Jeff, there's a StreamYard link if you want to come up for a second to describe this video. You don't have to stay very long if you can't. Um, I watched this last night. I had no clue. It was almost like a Pulp Fiction type of thing. Okay, here's the explanation. Quest for food with just me and two friends one night with a video camera. No editing was done to this except adding music later, but everything was just stopping and starting the camera to try and make what looks like an edited film. Gotcha. So if you haven't checked this out, you might go to Jeff's page and look at it. Let me play a little bit of it so that you can see. It has a Pulp Fiction type vibe to it.
It was dark, dark light. nighttime. I was hungry. Kind of like I needed food. Food. And that's how it started. This.
Is that one of your buddies or something, Jeff? Or is that you? Is that you, Jeff? Without the beard? How long ago was that? Jeff Pedant. That's interesting. I watched it last night. I gave it a like. I just didn't really understand it. It has like that Pulp Fiction kind of vibe to it, you know? It has that kind of vibe. So I get the point that I wanted to put out there tonight. That I hope that you don't take life so seriously because, oh, there he is. Don't take life so seriously because it's so fleeting. Hola.
Hey, 12 gauge.
Hey,
This is
what's
the
up,
first time
bro?
I think I've done this on from my cell phone.
Yeah, you're naked.
Just again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead and give us a synopsis of what that video is about. It's pretty cool.
yeah, that was yeah, one night one of my best friends Yuri, actually the main character Yuri is also appears playing some awesome guitar on a video on my channel called Corona Squank, which was a video we made during Corona and everything. We couldn't get together as a band anymore, so we recorded our parts separately. Yuri recorded the guitar parts, and the drummer added the drums, and then I added the bass last. And then I edited some bunch of animal sounds in there to since there was no lyrics or no guitar solo, I just used a bunch of animal sounds. But anyway, long story short, that was yeah, we just had the camera, and I tried to basically what they call it editing in camera. So you start rolling the camera. One of my favorite spots in that thing is the spot where he's about to put a burrito that he got at 7-Eleven into the microwave. And the cut
Yeah.
is so bad because you see him from above, he opens the door, he's about to put it in, but when it cuts, it's not moving. It's like he's waiting a second to put it in. And I don't know. I love things like that just look like if it was really edited, it would be like, man, that's a bad edit.
Right.
Um, but yeah, we didn't know where it was going. I mean, I was just basically, it's almost like I was just following what Yuri and Mike were doing. You can see Mike kind of, what do you call it when you break the third wall, uh, where he was acknowledging my presence there, and it's like, no, I'm the camera, I'm you. This is about you two, and this is so stop referring to me.
So
Like,
why don't I play it without uh without sound and you can kind of give play by
yeah, I don't
play?
know if yeah, because I know I put the music at the beginning is from The Doors, so I don't know if that would give you a copyright strike or get you in trouble. I wouldn't want to do that. But but you
Wow.
kind of need the sound. I don't. How do you know? How would you know? Like if you ran it, does it give you that black screen for a moment and then you just stop it and say, okay, we can't run that.
I don't even want to really
Don't want to
change
risk it.
it.
I
Yeah,
don't blame
because
you. I don't blame you.
I played Journey at the beginning of this for a couple seconds. I don't know if you heard it, but
Oh no! Did you get the black screen?
no, I didn't. So, you just never know. Here we go. Why don't you give us a play by play
Yeah.
and
So this is
I'll just play it.
so, so this starts with Yuri basically kind of borrowing some lines from Apocalypse Now, and then this is really just going to 7-Eleven in the car. So I basically just shot this how I would shoot it and edit it. I just, without the editing, it's all, you know, um, try to get different camera angles that I thought would cut together. Um, Plus, too, this was kind of cool because it kind of preserved a little bit of our history and friendship in that neighborhood. The three of us were living in that house right there as roommates, and so it's kind of cool to have preserved some of that. Some of that house. There's Blockbuster Video. Blockbuster is not around anymore, so it's kind of cool to have that be preserved in the video. And this was the local 7-Eleven.
So that's not you, right?
No, that's Yuri. That's my friend Yuri.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody commented on the video and thought that was me as well. So I updated the description of the video to hopefully make that clearer.
So what year was this?
Oh, shoot, I'm not sure. I'd have to find out. It was on a VHS tape. It was just, I think I shot this on a high 8 tape or 8mm tape, and then I transferred it to VHS. And then it was
right here. I thought he threw away the burritos.
No, yeah, he just tripped and bumped into the. Yeah. And see, I've always been a fan of like Coen Brothers, like Raising Arizona is one of my favorite movies. So I'm always I like moving camera. I like rather quick cuts that, keep it visually interesting and keep it going. And then, of course, when you got a good friend that likes to just kind of be a little bit of a character in front of the camera, like me back in these days, if it'd been reversed and he had the camera, I was very shy. I would not have, it wouldn't have worked. But this I thought worked. This worked pretty well.
I didn't even see him buy the cigarettes.
I wish I had done more of this because I had some friends back then. I still do, but some have passed away since then. And man, they were some characters. Actually, I probably have some video like that I could dig up.
Too bad you live so far away. I would act in any of your stuff, man.
Oh yeah, no, that would be cool. Well, nowadays with with an iPhone that you can just mount with a suction cup, wherever, and you can shoot your own videos but it is kind of
what I do. I have a video camera. I just shoot my own videos and send them to you for
editing. Yeah.
For finishing product.
I did edit a movie for a friend of mine. It was a movie called Nick and Nick. He had a series of movies. And
look at that microwave, bro. That thing was huge.
Yeah. Kind of some stuff in there in the thing dates the video.
Oh my God.
I can remember that pot is that is the work of another roommate named Bill that lived with us. Here comes a cut. Here comes the cuts. It's awful. Here goes. He's moving it. I love that bad cut.
How'd y'all get in the microwave? Did you put a camera in there?
Yeah, I just put it in there. Yeah, I think that was a nice thing about working with a camera that we recorded on tape, is because I think there was a little bit of a delay from the time you hit the button till when it's actually recording. So I was able to put it in there.
That thing gonna explode.
Oh yeah, he told me this part here where he takes a bite out of it, he almost burned his mouth. That thing was very, very hot. Which is kind of silly if you think about it, because we're doing this for the video. We didn't even need to heat it up at all. But again, this is just making up stuff on the fly.
Yeah, don't try this at home.
Yeah.
Damn, that thing is fuming.
Yeah, so now his mouth is on fire. He's burning. That's a good actor right there. You're burning to death with your
You are so clean and tidy, bro.
Shoot. No, look at that kitchen sink though at the end of the scene. It's a mess.
Yeah, so we have that. He kind of had that Jack Black look about him.
Yeah. I kind of like things like that too, which is why I chose that music. This Is the End from The Doors. It's kind of inspired by that.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
everybody loves the flashing 12 o'clock on a VCR. I mean, that was most people that had VCRs had flashing
Yeah.
12 o'clock. I think there's a movie. Oh, what is it? City Slickers. Remember they go out to that ranch. It's a comedy. I think it's got, is it Martin Short? I think it's Billy somebody. He was on that old show Soap a long time ago. But there's a scene in that movie where the guy keeps asking stupid questions, and I think it's one of those like, you ask another stupid questions, I'm gonna kick your. And the guy he's quiet for a moment, and then he says, "One more thing, how do you get rid of that 12 o'clock flashing on your VCR?"
Wow. What the hell is that?
That's like a monkey puppet. We just kind of set it up to look like he was passed out drunk. This right here, you could turn the sound on. This is just a song, original thing he made up on the guitar. I don't actually, from this point on, I don't think there's any. He's pretty good singing on this too.
I've been waiting so long and my life's on again on the phone. Another Friday night, all alone. Yeah, another Friday night, all alone. Just a regular kind of guy, grabbing my head to the sky. I'm just a regular kind of guy. Just a regular kind of guy. He's just a regular kind of guy.
You like that one kind of go into his head.
Would you climb on the roof or what?
No, that's just from the upstairs bedroom. I thought it was kind of cool because it throws your perception off. Like you don't feel like up high looking down. Uh-oh, it's a white Elantra.
That's a Saturn, isn't it?
It's a Toyota something. Later on, with Mike in the car, he calls it a Yoda.
Isn't it a Saturn?
No, it's a Toyota something. Celica maybe.
Oh. You're like standing in the street filming this?
Yeah. It was kind of cool because you gotta. I was trying to with each time I'd roll the camera, I'd think, okay, what's the next shot going to be? What would be a nice cut? Camera angle to cut to. So like you come in the door, now you stop the tape, and then you go inside. Let's start the tape. Try to continue the same motion with the door, so it looks like it's continuous. Basically, a film director wannabe. That's me.
Hey, you know what? This is pretty good stuff. I was wondering, I was like, what is this? Because it has like a Pulp Fiction vibe to it. It's dark.
Yeah, maybe that's I love Quentin Tarantino. I love Pulp Fiction. Constantly quoting Pulp Fiction. Who was it? Cash quoted Pulp Fiction when he said, Vincent, we good? Are we happy?
Cash says, nice mullet.
Mullet, yeah.
Yeah, they back in fashion, actually. You're right. Jeff has one as we speak.
That's right. I'm trimming it up right now, just shaving a little tighter.
Jeff, hey.
I don't know why I don't see the chat. Maybe it's because let me close YouTube.
Yeah, it's hard to see the chat on your phone.
Oh, okay. It comes up under comments, not chat.
Got a little Velia Roger going on here. Cruising around the neighborhood, checking out chicks. We lost Jeff. It looks like Christmas time, guys. It's Christmas time in the city. That is crazy how Jeff was able to like just be able to be right there in the location.
Man, I hate driving through New Mexico straight, bro. Got any money? Sure. But, Michael, look at the moon. Isn't it gorgeous? Get that out of my butt! It's shining off your skull in such a splendor. Oh, that's Winter Fresh. Let's go streaking. Winter Fresh? Winter Fresh. Oh, fresh. Fresh? Winter Fresh. Georgetown Hypnosis Clinic. Ken was telling me about the time when the insurance came here and said, "Oh no, you cannot have no business from your residence." What are you talking about? Anyway. Hey, Brassicles on it too. Gotta enjoy that. Oh my. I like that. My heavens. No have mercy. I feel saliva coming out. Oh,
What the?
Oh, man. Turn this shit off. Mike Dunn, age 26, was last seen falling from a height of great depth, of a great distance. You'll be playing tongue guitar. You gotta get that one up too. Yeah, that's my recording it now.
No, take that back. He had that meatloaf look about him.
But that's special. The juice The juice runs down my leg. Yeah, baby. Fury is somewhat similar to that.
All right. Well, that was Jeff's first feature film, I guess. Quite interesting to say the least. You know, I had a lot of videos back in the day as well. I wish I would have kept them because I could have done the same thing. I mean, it would have been a lot of incriminating stuff, obviously. Childhood antics, I guess. You know, you get a video camera and you get some people with some eccentric personalities, and you just never know what's going to come of it. Well, guys, I'm 1 hour and 35 minutes into this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your weekend. And those of you that watch this on replay, please check out Jeff H's channel. We have Chickbait in here. She has a channel. I don't know if Cash has a channel. I think they were talking about it, but I don't know. So y'all go check out these channels and give them some Show them some love, you know? One thing that we do here is we allow people with different perspectives or different opinions, we agree to disagree. And we're a community, you know? We allow people to come in here, we speak of their channels and we speak of their content. That doesn't mean we're in competition, you know? Doesn't mean we're in competition. We're all looking for the same thing, and that's trying to show our art to present certain things as we understand it. So I enjoy that people that other creators can come in here and they can, you know, articulate with me and be able to talk with me and things like that. Um,
Hey,
you know, I
Twinkies.
like that. I like that a lot. And obviously, Jeff 8, the guitarist, is Jeff his channel.
Rule number one when you go on a live stream on your cell phone, make sure you have enough battery. I didn't even look at that.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, I'm sitting there talking, and the next thing I know, it's like phone goes black. It's like, oh, dead.
That's fine. We understand it. Rondi, you have a good night at work. Be careful. Paula, I totally understand it. You know, I totally understand it. Many people have real life going on, and sometimes they just tune in to listen, and that's great because I mean, you know, you can listen while you clean, or you can listen while you're cooking, whatever. Take care, Rondi. Jeff, what do you think about the criminal procedure that I showed tonight? How much of it did you listen to?
You know, I only caught the end. To be honest, you were talking about the
Okay.
inculpatory evidence. That's why I kind of understood that part. Although
Okay.
I had heard that expression before. I remember the first time I heard it though. I thought that they had mispronounced exculpatory because that's all I'd ever heard. And
Right.
yeah, so it wasn't that long ago that I think I was hearing inculpatory for the first time.
Your mic kind of low.
It's kind of low. Check, check, check.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2.
Right there.
Check 1 2. Okay, that better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting live. I thought it'd be interesting to show exactly how criminal law takes place and the myth that people have about it.
don't you
You know,
think the guy in the TikTok trial didn't have a good grasp of like how the proceedings in a court case? He seemed to be, he was asking questions of the lawyer, which you're not supposed to do. You're just
yeah,
the prosecutor. You're just supposed to answer the questions.
yeah. She kept telling him that too. Hey, you're not allowed to question me.
Right.
She was quick with that, you know. She was quick with
Or
that.
a trial that you should show if not all of it, just some of it, is that Daryl Brooks trial. Did you watch that?
No, I didn't.
Man,
No, I
oh
didn't.
gosh, that guy put that judge through the ringer. So frustrating to hear that. She would be so patient with him. She'd remove him from the court, put him in a room where he could only be seen on camera, can only speak. Like if he raised his hands, he would hold up a piece of paper saying he wanted to speak, but it just almost constantly being disruptive and rude and that was something. I was glued to that trial. That was one that was just.
That might be something I have to watch next week. That way I can get versed on it and, you know, show that alongside the other one. Because I want to show the part four of the TikTok murders, which was the last day of the trial, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I showed today was pretty, I mean, we've seen some of it in the other two, but I didn't know that his mom got up there and testified. Did you?
Right, right. Yeah, I did catch a little bit of that in I think it might have been the documentary I watched, but yeah, didn't she like blow him a kiss right before she
Yeah.
sat down?
Yeah, she blew him a kiss.
Yeah.
But that's just a mother's love. I wouldn't take that at any
Right,
other,
right. Kind
you
of
know.
expect that to some point. Yeah, to some degree.
Hey, Texas, how you doing? Yeah, I know they're playing, bro. I know. I'm not really watching because, you know, University of Louisiana really shouldn't give us much of a fight. But you just never know.
The Linghorns.
The Linghorns, yeah.
I'm gonna say it that way from now on. I'm gonna ask my wife, "Hey, you want to go to Linghorn Steakhouse?"
Yeah, exculpatory is for innocence, inculpatory highlights guilt. Very good. Very good. I don't know anything about that case. Carly Gregg, do you?
Just a
Jeff?
little bit. I know there's video of this young. It's a young girl, right, that went in, shot her mother, and but
Okay.
that's I just saw watched a little bit of the video. I wasn't even sure what I was actually seeing. Um, but yeah, it was like it was a camera that was in the kitchen, so you see her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that earlier. I saw that earlier. She like walks the dogs out and then she comes back in. The dogs run off into the room. She goes to the room and then the
Yeah, yeah, I
dogs
think that's
follow
right.
her in the kitchen. And then you hear her or you see her walk into the room and you hear bang. And then you hear, oh my God, bang, bang, bang. And that was it, right?
Oh man, you know what? I think I didn't have the sound up when I was watching.
Yeah, there was,
I didn't catch that part.
yeah, she shot her about 4 times. Hey,
Oh my
Echoes, how you
gosh.
doing?
Echoes, echoes.
Chickbait says I want to go to Red Lobster. We don't have a Red Lobster around here anymore. They went out of business.
You almost said lead lobster, didn't you?
Red Lobster, yeah.
Lead lobster, red lobster.
Red Lobster, yeah. Red Lobster. You know, it's I was talking about, the home movies and stuff, Jeff. I was saying if I had any of those, I'd probably put them up, but there'd be a lot of weird camera effects. There'd be a lot of drunken humor, stuff like that. What was up with your buddy playing with his stuff on the camera?
Oh, at the end.
Yes.
Oh well, yeah, it was. Yeah, they were just being silly because they saw something stimulating on the TV, and I got the camera pointed at him as his reaction to the TV, and it's kind of a Monty Python like character. I guess he was like grabbing himself, and he said I feel slime coming out. They're
Yeah, there's
funny.
a
They're
lot of
funny
red
guys.
lobsters that are shutting down. I I don't know why. I mean, I like their rolls, the honey biscuits or whatever they're called. Those things are delicious. Yeah. That was an interesting video, Jeff. You should do more. I didn't
I
really.
like the way you say that reminds me of remember in Back to the Future where with the guy the woman who's Marty's mother in the scene where the way she says, "Marty, that was some very interesting music." That's what it reminded me of. Like it was
Yeah.
like it was a compliment, but it's like that was a weird video, Jeff. What is the heck was that?
I watched it yesterday. I meant to ask you about it, but I was like it totally slipped my mind. But I watched it last night, I think about 2 in the morning. I was like, what the hell is this? And it said, I was like, did Jeff just film this? Like, yeah, this is some vintage footage right here.
Yeah, that goes way
Uh,
back. Hey, you want to see one photo from my uh, thing I did today, seeing the Blue Angels?
sure.
Let me pull it up
Yeah,
here.
we're
This
we're
is
pretty much done with the court process. I mean, the rest of the time is, I'm giving the chat time to chat and talk about stuff, because they tend to enjoy that. You know what I mean?
yeah. So this this
Um,
is
the
this is just a random
camaraderie.
shot. I took how many pictures I take? Gosh, I got like 200, 2,000 like video files and still pictures. Check that out.
Wow.
This was amazing. We had so I went with two of my friends to see this show today, but we had seen the movie, the documentary on an IMAX months ago. And then when we left the documentary, we like noticed that this show was gonna be coming to Virginia Beach, Virginia. It's kind of cool. You can see if one of the planes is over here as well.
Wow.
But
I
they
always thought
were
it was
awesome.
always thought it was interesting how close they fly together like that. And
Yeah,
it's so
yeah,
cool how they're synchronized.
yeah. You got to see the documentary. It's very good. I mean, it just shows the discipline that they have. There's some cool parts too where they're in a like a conference room, and they're kind of all pretending, imagining they're behind they're in the cockpits, and they're just talking it through, just with their eyes closed, imagining it, like, what do we do next? What comes after that? It's pretty cool. Let me see if I can find another really cool shot for you.
Awesome, Paula. What you making for dinner? Cash asks, so like the red arrows, is that another flight type of stuff? The red
I know they
arrows?
got a group called the Thunderbirds. We were talking about going to maybe try and see them as well.
Yeah, I've seen the Thunderbirds.
But apparently the Blue Angels are the schnizzle when it comes to this kind of thing. The stuff they do is
He said
just
schnizzle.
amazing.
He said shizzle. Give me another picture.
Here's
there,
a
there.
okay. Here comes one. Close that one.
Red Arrows in the UK.
Share this one.
Okay, gotcha. I've never heard of them, but that sounds awesome.
Okay, here comes another one.
Lasagna. Uh-oh. I'm headed to your house. Oh, wow.
Check that out.
That's pretty cool.
I wonder if I can hold on. I think I can click. Let me just sort this by JPEGs, and then maybe I can click just a big group
Yeah,
of them and show them at once.
we're heading to Paula's house for lasagna and French
That sounds
fries.
good. The gotta have the bread. Or maybe let me see if one of these movies how it will play. I tried shooting. I shot some.
You need the
slow-mo.
background music of Top Gun in that one.
Yeah. So here's okay. Yeah, I think I can show this. I can play this in QuickTime Player. This is what they call this big plane. They refer to as Fat Albert, and this is this is what they fly in on. And as big as this plane is, it still does some pretty cool tricks and is quite a powerful.
Wow, Fat
plane.
Albert.
But yeah, that's Fat Albert. Running a little.
It looked like a beautiful day over there. Was it pretty warm?
It was a gorgeous, perfect day. Yeah, clear sky, a few clouds, but let me see what else we got here.
Paula says, "Can you get here in an hour or want me to save you some? I don't have any bread though." I'll bring the bread, no problem. No problem. I'll get in my helicopter, be right over there.
This one's cool right here. This is I think two of them are upside down, two of them are right side up. Of course, this is in slow-mo. They're flying by much faster than that.
That is amazing. Wow.
Let's see. It's kind of
I need to upload. I went to St. Louis, Missouri on July 4th, right? And they had the Army paratroopers jumping out of the planes where they do all the tricks and stuff over the arc. I have a lot of videos on that. I've yet to upload them to YouTube.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That'd be cool to see. Yeah, the St. Louis archway there.
Yeah.
Now here's a formation of 5. So I think there's total of 6 planes. So there's only one missing in this little trick they do. This one's way up in the sky, looking like almost straight up, and they, coming back down.
Dang, that is amazing.
I don't know what's up with these two. They're a little closer together than the rest. These two better watch out. They better watch these films and be ready next show. I think they're actually doing another show tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. You can improvise with regular bread. Just put some garlic powder on there and some butter. You're right.
Little cayenne pepper.
Yeah. Lasagna is great. I love vegetable lasagna better for some reason. I don't know why, but it's a little better. That is an amazing shot right there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is a newer camera I got recently, a Canon 5D Mark IV.
How high
So it
would you say
shoots slow motion.
they are right there?
Well, actually, they come to when they come swooping down, they get rather low. You might get a sense of like people's heads that are in front of me. Well, there's a cloud line in the distance, but
Yeah.
I'm a terrible judge of height and how high something is. But
I mean, but was could
yeah,
you
there you
hear
go.
the
You get an
boom?
idea of the people.
Could you hear the sonic boom as it flew
Um,
by?
I don't think they ever went that fast to have a boom, but man, the roar. Actually, let me find one that's not in slow mo because it'll have.
Okay.
Okay, this one has sound with it too, and it's a lot shakier. That's why I kind of like to shoot it in slow mo because it takes all the bumpiness out of your camera work. But this is 4K as well too, so it should look even. It's when I shoot slow mo, it's a little bit smaller frame size. It's 1280 by 720. This is full 4K. Okay,
You're
here's
talking
this.
Greek right now to me, so I'll
Or
just say,
just
yeah, okay, I
Just
understand.
high def versus lower
Okay.
than high def. All
Here,
right, so
let me
this
put us
one.
on the bottom of the stage. There we go.
All right, so this one. Let me turn the sound down just a little bit. Yeah, yeah. You can come. My camera's not on though.
There's no sound.
So got a little squirrely. As I point into the sun, it's a little hard to keep track of where they went.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You heard the dog
Oh,
bark.
this is a good one.
You heard
This
the
is a,
dog barking, right?
you see it, right? This shot, I only looked at a second of it. I think this might be a good one. All right, here we go.
There you go. That one's clear.
Uh-oh, they were playing music at the same time there. Maybe kill the music. But you can imagine the... Oh, man. Look at that. You can read U.S. Navy on there.
Yeah.
Wish I had a tripod.
Now I can see why some other countries dislike us.
What's that? Because
Just we just
the fear
we
of seeing
just
that coming towards you.
no, we're just so wasteful. So I mean, you know what I mean? Like they're like, well, they just go out and fly planes and waste gas and all this other
All
stuff.
right,
People's
here's a...
perceptions of the U.S. is totally wrong. There you go.
Okay.
I see that. We're all on the 12 gauge investigative cooking show in chat. Yep, exactly. I've been reading. I haven't been not reading. I see what y'all been typing. They're making lasagna in the chat, Jeff.
Mm. Oh, was that just a short clip? That's just a short clip.
So do they all take off at the same time, or they go in one at a time?
Um,
Got
they kind of went took off two at a time, I think. Oh, this one's pretty cool. This one is a slow mo. This is in slow mo, but I think it's one of those maneuvers where they're moving very slow, almost like they're hovering.
there you go. That's why I need to hijack a Blue Angel and go to get me some lasagna. Wow, that's a cool shot. That's in slow mo.
That's a slow mo shot, yeah. But I think it was kind of a slow maneuver to begin with, so it's.
Wow.
I can't even imagine what that's like to be up in one of those. I mean, that's got to be a just a blast.
That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
I have some.
Keep talking. I got to plug
I
in my phone.
Okay. I'm gonna see if I can find. I caught quite a few times when they, you'd have a plane, two planes are coming directly at each other, and then they cross each other really close. And I've got about 4 or 5 pictures where I captured it right in as the moment they cross each other. Let me see. But yeah, it was a perfect day for this. I think tickets weren't too bad either. They were like, around $30, and we had, folding chairs that were out on the tarmac, and we were, relatively close. I mean, not like you have to really get close because they're up in the sky flying overhead, but it was a great view. Oh, this is kind of a cool sequence. Let me see. Where's the start? It was kind of cute seeing. You see a lot of kids out there with little hearing protection things on their ears, and there was this woman I met that was sitting next to me, and she was trying to shoot video with her phone, and I think she was getting frustrated because it's really hard to see much on the phone. And I think she'd look over at my camera every now and then. I'd take a bunch of pictures. I'd look at the pictures real quick, and I think she saw my pictures, and she's like, "Is there any way you could send me that?" And she just meant the one picture. I said, "You know what? I will probably be putting these, I'm sure, on a Google photo album. I'll just send it to you." So we exchanged email so I could do that.
That was nice of you.
Yeah.
That was nice of you.
Why not? Okay, this one, let me see. I think I can bring in like about 10 pictures that are in sequence as I shot them, so you can kind of get a sense of, I can just step through them, I think. Yeah, I should be able to. Yes, let's see. I think if I arrow down. Yeah, so this is cool. So they're coming, way in the distance in front of us, heading towards us like this. Separating into that pattern.
So were you like changing the shutter speed or something at this point?
No, these are just a series of still pictures. Yeah, I'm just snapping away. And basically I've got a little square in my viewfinder, and I'm keeping the square on one of the planes and just saying keep focusing on this one, so that the shot stays in focus, the whole time. And then and then I'm just zooming out with the lens a little bit as they're coming closer and closer.
Right.
So I could tell it's like, okay, this is going to be a wide shot in just a second here. But yeah, let me grab another little batch of good ones. I want to show you the ones where they cross each other. That's the ones that I thought were the really coolest.
So what's a good drink to have while you're eating lasagna? Anybody drink wine with their lasagna, or what would y'all recommend to have with lasagna? Chardonnay, red wine, what would you recommend?
Dunkin' Donuts iced latte goes with everything.
Oh my god.
That's just me.
That is like sugar central right there.
Yeah, that's true.
Ice water and red wine. Baywatcher says he digs the pictures.
Yeah, this was a blast. I almost didn't bring my good camera too. It was my daughter. It said, "You're bringing your good camera," because she really wanted to go, but You know, we had bought these tickets so far in advance, and they were sold out. So
Coke Zero. Yeah, I like Coke Zero. You know, I treated myself today because I've been kind of watching my sugar intake and stuff. You know, Dr. Pepper has kind of like a cream soda, Dr. Pepper.
mm,
I got a 6 pack of that, and that is like my cheat drink.
that does sound good. I'm
Yeah,
a big fan of cream soda and of Dr. Pepper.
yeah. I mean, I've drank that before, and I thought, man, this is delicious. I'm gonna treat myself because I've been pretty good the last couple of weeks.
All right, so here's a sequence of shots.
You're welcome, Chickbait. PKC says I don't do wine, but do iced latte. Yeah, iced latte is pretty good.
I'm sure there's a name for what's going on with that like cloudy material that's on the wings of those two planes.
Yeah.
I think that is really cool.
It looks like a pretty good crowd.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was every seat was pretty much filled. Let me get a
So did
close
y'all
up of
take
that.
your own chairs or do they have
No,
chairs?
they had you got to go through like a security area where they look at your ticket, and then you go into where they've got all these folding chairs. There must have been like a couple hundred or so folding chairs in rows with numbers on them. Let's see if I can zoom in on this one a little bit.
Here's a comment for you, Jeff.
What's that?
Anyone else
Anyone?
think when they see the exhaust from a plane, it looks like the jets are farting? No, just me.
That might just be you only.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
But now that you've said it, now that
Yeah,
is what I will see
exactly.
from now on.
Wow, that's a great shot.
You see it, right?
You can't unsee it now. You're right. So what is the history
Look, there's
behind
little
these?
farts. See the little farts right there?
What is the history behind these jets? Like, were they fighter jets and just retired, or was it an elite fighting force, or were they just what is it?
Man, you'd think I would have paid more attention when I saw the documentary in IMAX, but I don't remember their origin. To be honest with you,
I think a Top Gun when I see that right there.
that's not a cool one. I love
Did you
that.
ever watch the Top Gun movies?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even the new one. I thought the new one was pretty good too.
Yeah, the new one was good. He never ages, bro.
No,
I mean, I know he does, but he doesn't age that much.
does that mean you're going to become Scientologist to stay young?
Wow, look at that right there.
You can see a little bit of the I think the sun refracting in the cloud material or whatever that is on the wing there. I think. After I don't know if you can see it in these pictures, but they have those these areas here, the air vents.
Yeah.
The plane was on the just sitting. After the show, this plane sitting there, and this woman just jumps right up into that thing. I'd be like, man, I don't know if I'd feel like I mean, obviously she knows what she's doing, but I've heard people get sucked up into those, and like, you
Yeah.
get sucked up when it's running, and you're kind of shredded and gone.
That's
Okay,
exactly.
let me find another batch of. I want to show you the ones where they cross each other. That's going to be earlier. It's too bad when I put like I put 5 stars on these as I was driving back because we had like a 3-hour drive back from the show, but unfortunately those stars don't show up in my on my Mac here. Okay, wait, I think I might have found one that's, come on. So cool too. The pictures when you're out there in the sun, it's hard to really get a sense on with the bright sunlight on the back of the screen on the back of the camera. It's like, gosh, I hope these look okay. And then you see them and like on a computer, it's like, yes, they came out good. All right, let me close this one. I'll open up this other one. This one's got the ones where they pass. 2 planes are coming directly at each other.
Oh God, there's going to be an interesting show on the 727th. Bring your tinfoil hats.
On where? 727?
Yeah, on the YouTube street, there's going to be two creators that defy the rules of logic.
Really?
That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, would you see these videos coming up?
Yeah.
Jeez, look at that, how close they are.
If my water was bubbling right now, you know.
Yeah, this is the vent.
Hey,
the vent I
Chad,
was
y'all
talking about.
like that carbonated water? Any of y'all in chat like that carbonated water? I don't really care for it. Yeah, that's me, mysterious and vague. I try to keep it low key. I don't really care for that sparkling water or any of that stuff. It's disgusting. Tastes like carbonated water to me.
Yeah, I'm all about the Diet Coke.
Yeah.
You know what? I like, for some reason, Diet Coke in a plastic bottle, 16 ounce, cold from a gas station, seems to be better than any other way to get a Diet Coke. I don't know what it is. Like a can of Diet Coke doesn't do it for me. Something about the plastic bottle, cold. Very refreshing.
I really like Coke Zero also. My mom loved that stuff. That's her drink right there.
Yeah.
Diet Coke, when it first came out, it tasted bitter to me. Because you get so used to all the sugar that's in the Coke. And then it's like, you drink that Diet Coke, boy, it's like, whoa.
Now, were you into Classic Coke? Remember they were doing the Classic Coke stuff? They were trying to bring back the original recipe.
Yeah, the Classic Coke kind of tasted like the introduction to the Diet Coke. You know what I mean? Like, they had lessened the sugar in that recipe, and I guess they were trying to introduce the Diet Coke on the cool, you know?
Uh-huh. Okay, here comes some more. Here,
Diet Dr. Pepper doesn't taste bad either. I can drink that.
I used to drink a lot of that. Actually, these are just doing a flyby, one facing up, one facing down.
Baywatcher agrees with you, Jeff. He says, I know what you mean. Cold gas station soda and the plastic hitting the spot.
Yeah, yeah. I love when I'll pull up and my son will go in and he'll come back and he'll have bought me 2 of them. It's like, oh, man. I can enjoy it now and I can enjoy it later.
Yeah.
Except the problem is you can't let it get, it's got to be cold though. It's got to get into a fridge, that second one. Let me go back. This one's cool.
These are some awesome shots.
Yeah, so this is shot at, I think a 2,000th of a second to try and freeze the motion. We were having a discussion about that on the drive down there. It's like, well, what shutter speed should you choose? And it's like, well, considering that I'm panning with them, it'd be different if I was like just the camera's pointed straight ahead and they're flying through the shot. Then I'd really need a fast shutter speed. But the fact that I'm panning with them, I'm kind of moving at a similar speed, so it Didn't need to be like super high. Didn't need to be like a
Right.
4,000th or 6,000ths of a second. But 2,000. So I
Do y'all
chose.
ever
I
buy pork skins on the road trips? You know, you get you a
mhm.
good bag of pork skins and a
Especially
cold drink.
spicy
Boy,
ones.
that's
You
heaven. That's
like the
heaven right
spicy
there.
pork skins?
Well, you have a great night too, Chick Bait. Go feed those cats. Thank you for being in here.
Good to see you,
You guys
Chickpea.
go check out her channel. She has some great stuff on her channel, so go check it out. Subscribe. Thank you for being in here and giving us your chat and commentary. Appreciate it. Hope to see you soon. So Jeff, you do buy those pork skins?
Yeah, I do. I do love those. And the I used to not like the spicy ones, but I do kind of am
You're
into the
welcome.
spicy ones.
Have a good night. Be safe.
Wonder, does it show my camera information?
There's another channel on talking about trafficking right now, so
Talking about trafficking.
yeah.
Oh, probably because of the whole P Diddy situation.
Well, it's kind of implementing the Idaho 4 case into it.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, you know,
Hmm.
there was rumors that two of the roommates were being trafficked.
Really?
I swear, man, it's if anything horrible ever happened to me, I hope they don't run my name through the ringer like that. They've like put those roommates in every malicious act that you can think of. You know what I mean? Just terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
who? Go ahead.
it's great to be, have your mind be creative. We have creative minds, but I don't know. I think, well, like if you're gonna say something that is that fantastic, far out, and like just unbelievable, shocking, maybe at least maybe include in there. It's like, yeah, maybe not, but I just want to say it. This is crazy, but
I mean, somebody asked me earlier if I get frustrated from people. It frustrates me when you can do a live like that without any proof. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you have proof of that, then it kind of makes your theory a lot more believable. But to just say it, it just kind of like, well, you're just sensationalizing something that you heard. You know what I mean? It's kind of like with your shots right now with the Blue Angels. You could be telling me how awesome the show was and how amazing the shots you got and the
hey,
videos and stuff. And
hey, 12. I gotta run. I'm sorry. Um,
it's all
maybe I'll
right.
maybe I'll put together. I'll post some of these shots on my channel or something, and because there's a lot of them. There's a ton of them. But I think you've probably seen some of the best, especially the videos. So, well,
Well, that's cool, bro. That's cool. Hey, you have a good night, man. Be safe out there.
okay. All right. Good night,
Thanks for
everybody.
hopping out.
Sure
Thanks for
thing. Sure
hopping
thing.
up. All right. Catch you soon. All right. And then there was 12. Then there was 12. Is there anybody here in the chat? Because I mean it's showing like 3 people, so I guess I'm gonna bounce too. But if there's anybody in here, I hope that you enjoyed the original court process, learning about it. Like I said, I will be doing some more on that. And thank you so much for spending your evening with me. I know that there's other creators that you could have been in their live stream. I appreciate all the support and all the chat and the following and the comments. You guys are awesome. PKC, enjoy your lasagna. You have a great night. Be safe out there. And I'll see you soon, okay? Maestro, cue that music.